Thank you for joining us for this edition of Policy Connections. Today we have Speaker Scott Bedke with us. And Speaker, welcome for this edition of Policy Connections. We appreciate the time you're willing to take today. I think as we get into this, I've got a couple questions for you. First of all, I think foremost in most people's minds is what's it like to be the Speaker?
Well, it's a little different. Most people know me as a policy guy, and now I am to manage a bunch of other policy guys. And so I find myself resisting getting down in the weeds on issues. I do feel like I've got a good background, however, on policy stuff. But I think it's, my role now is more of putting the right people together to strike the compromises. And I think that there's going to be a bunch of issues this session that's going to require some compromising.
Well, let's talk about some of those. One of those, obviously, the education task force that the governor put together is going to weigh a lot on this legislature as well as, I think, future legislatures, the action they took on Friday. Tell us about how the legislature is going to react to that.
Well, at first I was a little concerned because it looked like the task force was going to take all of the education issues unto themselves. And I felt that maybe stepped on legislative prerogative just a little bit. But like you said, Friday afternoon, they seemed to carve out the issues that they wanted to tackle, the issues surrounding student achievement, and then punted back, if you will, to the legislature, the budget stuff, and as well as the labor issues. And so we've got two very good education committees there at the legislature. Both chairs are anxious to tackle this. Neither one are anxious to repeat any of the mistakes of the past. And so I think that that it'll be challenging to thread this needle, but I do think that there's overwhelming support to doing something with regard to the labor issues, particularly in the legislature, and it'll be up to us to build a coalition that keeps the public involved in a way that doesn't cause a lot of angst out in the education community.
Talk a little bit about the Economic Outlook Committee. They obviously took some very important action, and it was to confirm the governor's estimates on what the economy is going to look like. Now, Obviously, the legislature can make adjustments along the way since we're here for 3 months. But talk to us about that decision and how at least your side of the aisle is working with the governor's office and how that decision was made.
Well, as you know, I seconded the pro tem's motion that supported the governor's numbers, yet put a placeholder out in the future that we could come back and revisit this. I think that there is at least the way the issues are framed at this point. I did not want the actions of the Economic Outlook Committee to put a damper on the creative discussions that were taking place around, among other things, the personal property tax issue.
Our favorite issue.
An issue that is near and dear in these hallowed halls here.
Well, let's talk about the personal property tax and kind of give us a sense of where things are, where you think things are going to end up this year on that issue, given all the dynamics associated with it.
Well, you and I were with the governor this morning, Alex, and I think that is very telling. The governor's office and his bully pulpit is behind this issue. But I think it became apparent to everyone that this was not going to be accomplished with one fell swoop, and you and I have realized this in the past, that this was going to be done. If we were able to accomplish it, it was going to be done in an incremental approach, with all factions, if you will, all stakeholders probably ended up giving a little. And I think if we'll keep that mentality, then we'll be able to deliver something on this issue for your members as well as for the governor's office. I mean, because it made it into the state of the state. It's a big issue for him, and I think that it's time to show progress on this issue. I mean, how many years have we talked about it? Enough, I think. We need to, I think we need to make some progress on this.